Today on Be the Model, we introduce Wellness and Lifestyle Coach, Crystal Dodson.
Hello everyone. Welcome to Be the Model Podcast Virtual Edition. My name is Crystal Dodson. I hail from New Jersey and I am the CEO of Envizion Wellness. I am a Wellness Lifestyle Concierge, and what that means is that I help people create the best possible lifestyle for themselves, one that they want to live every single day. So whether that is doing yoga, personal training, group exercise, or eating healthy, meal prepping, to finding a great restaurant, 5-star in New York City, to helping them get tickets to the next Broadway show, or even helping small businesses manage their customer databases, or even helping them create some social media content. That is what I do. What inspired me to be health conscious and involved in wellness and yoga? Well, when I was younger, I had back surgery when I was 12. And that left me with chronic back pain for almost 20 years. I have 2 Harrington rods on either side of my spine. And from the age of 12 to 13, I wasn't able to be active. I've been a dancer since I was 9. And for an entire year, I wasn't able to run, jump, play, dance, be a normal kid. So during that time, I thought to myself, how can I live a better lifestyle? I did not want to have to live on 800 milligrams of ibuprofen every single day for the rest of my life. And at that time, that was my new reality. So my parents had me read a book called Fit for Life by the Diamonds. And it was advocating a healthy way of living, not more so one way or the other. But for me, I found it very helpful and I became a pescatarian. Pescatarian just means I don't eat meat, but I do eat fish. And of course, the rest of my diet is plant-based. So I found that lifestyle worked really well for me. And I'm a pescatarian till this day. So when I would turn 13, I became a pescatarian. It wasn't easy at first because I didn't really know anything about becoming a vegetarian. I just had some ideas of different recipes and different meals I could eat. But mind you, I'm 13, so I'm not making my own meals yet. My parents still are. So it was definitely a transition. And then during this time, I had a second back surgery 2 years later, just to correct something that happened with the first one. And that was an in and out surgery. But once again, still dealing with pain on a regular basis and just really trying to figure out the best lifestyle for me. So I became active again. And then at 16, I discovered yoga. And I really gravitated towards it. It was similar to my dance background and the stretching that we do in dance. And I just really loved the movements and how it made me feel. So I knew I was on the right track. My diet changed, my movement habits changed. So segue to when I was 19 in college, I called for group exercise instructors by the campus recreation. And I was like, yes, I want to become a group exercise instructor. So for my alma mater, Montclair State University, I became a group exercise instructor the following summer and also a yoga instructor that following summer so that I could actually participate and become an instructor for my college. Cool. So that was when I was 19. And maybe a few years after that, I discovered chiropractic, I discovered massage, and I also discovered a new type of yoga called Iyengar yoga. And up until this point, maybe about 10 years, I've had chronic back pain every single day. But I took this Iyengar class just to try it, something new, different, and it sounded like it would be something helpful. They use props, block straps, blankets to help you get into your proper alignment. And when I tell you, from having back pain every single day of my life for 10 years to suddenly, for at least 2.5 days, not having any back pain at all, that was life-changing. I was like, okay, I'm on to something. I just have to keep going down this path. And then by the time I graduated with a bachelor's in nutrition and dietetics. I had already decided that I wanted to do more in the health and wellness field. So I became a group exercise instructor, working commercially outside of college, boutiques, community, corporate. And I just kept going, got my personal training certification, got more certifications on top of certifications in health and wellness and stretch, anything that would really help prepare me for the rest of my career path. So as I continued with that path, I realized that I had gone the long way around in order to make myself healthier. And there's nothing wrong with that. It usually takes a lot of us many years to figure out what works. But I knew that if I could do it, I could show others how to do it, and it wouldn't take them as long. So Envizion Wellness was born. And I wanted it to be more than just a wellness consulting, personal training, yoga, private client situation. I wanted it to be something long-term, meaningful, impactful. I pride myself in being able to adapt to a lot of situations, and I've discovered I have a knack for it. So I took that knack, I took that passion to help others, and Envizion Wellness is here today. What type of yoga do you teach? What are the benefits to the lifestyle? I was trained in integral yoga. That's the scientific and spiritual way of approaching yoga. It's the way that our body moves internally. We kind of move outwardly with that as well. So for instance, when we do any of our lunges, we move with our right leg forward first and then our left forward, so that we're focusing on the pathway of digestion, right? So digestion happens in the body from right to left. It's a very cyclical practice, and it's a wonderful practice. I teach vinyasa. For me, I love vinyasa flow, and I love teaching it, but I also incorporate my dance background, so it's a little bit more flowy. I do like yin yoga as well. I gravitated towards that, and I teach yin. Yin is it's a practice where you're holding the postures rather than flowing through them. And as you hold the postures, you are focusing on release. It's a practice of surrender. It's a practice of patience, because you do hold the postures for like 3 to 5 minutes. I've heard practitioners holding poses up to 20 minutes, but in the class I teach is 3 to 5. And the benefits of yoga abound. It doesn't matter what type of yoga or what genre of yoga you take or teach. The benefits are absolutely astounding, from strength to endurance, from being able to sleep better, eat better, the mental capacity to grow as a person, but also to think better, to think with greater clarity, just to relax. A lot of people come into yoga thinking, oh yeah, I can't do yoga because I'm not flexible. Yoga is a practice that if you do it, you reap the benefits. If you practice yoga, no matter where you are, what body type, what age, because there was a yoga teacher who, I think when she passed, she was 98. And I learned a great deal from her. I actually took us kind of like a workshop seminar, and she was amazing. When she was, I think 96, 95 is when I met her. So it doesn't matter what age you take yoga. I mean, little babies, they do yoga. They see their parents do yoga and they gravitate toward that movement, right? But it becomes a whole lifestyle. So it doesn't really matter where you are when you come to yoga. You just come as you are. And when we talk about different types of yoga, I practice Hatha yoga. So let's get an understanding of what that means. Hatha yoga is actually one of the 8 limbs of yoga that is focused on the physical yoga. So when we say what type of yoga do you do, there's actually 8 limbs of yoga, and Hatha just happens to be one of those 8. And out of Hatha yoga, integral yoga is a genre or a type of yoga. Yin yoga, vinyasa, these are all types of Hatha yoga. So the different type of obstacles I faced over the years on my journey, health and wellness, actually have just been chronic pain, trying to get over that hurdle, trying to create the best plan for myself. I mean, really it's consistency, right? So if one day I practice yoga and then I don't practice it for a week, my body's going to feel the effects. It's going to know, oh man, yeah, I'm tight. Oh man, yeah, I'm, not as flexible as I was a week ago. But that's consistency. So for me, the biggest obstacles to have overcome on my journey are always pain related in some form or fashion because of my back. And, the back is kind of like the gateway. If your back is tight or if you have spasms, it's going to come into your traps, it's going to come into your neck, maybe give you some headaches. And also when you talk about lower back pain, I never really had lower back pain unless I was sitting in some weird position for too long or just not sitting correctly. But that can also aggravate your glutes, it can aggravate your hamstrings, the back of your thighs. So you're talking about really a whole system that gets affected when you have back pain. And for me, it was learning how to navigate, learning how to be consistent and really true to a plan. If I decided to go with it, I would try it for as long as I could and then kind of integrate other things into that as well. I find that massage, yoga, stretch, even warm compresses, these are things that really work for me. So the people that have inspired me the most, there have been different people. I have always admired Coretta Scott King and Mrs. Shabazz because they have continued to help their community after their husband's passing. And they have been strong women in their own right for the movement of change in our communities. I also look to my mom and my grandmother because when I was younger, I loved what they do. My mom's a nurse. My grandmother was a nurse and a midwife when she was practicing. And these women have such compassion for their community, for their families. And I wanted to emulate that. And I am not in the medical profession, but when I looked to them, what they did working with women, working with babies, I thought, wow, that's something that I wanted to do. And in college, I graduated towards nutrition because that really just resonated with me and the path that I had been on all that time. And I said, okay, what I choose to do from their inspiration leads me to this world of helping others and helping others create their best lifestyle. What advice would I give someone following in my footsteps in my field? Well, being a wellness lifestyle concierge, I want to say is a unique field. It's definitely a niche that I want to say that I created my own path. I'm pretty sure there are tons of wellness professionals who do something similar, but maybe not to the gravity of mixing different types of services that I do. So it's not only your physical, your nutritional, and your mental wellness. I focus on 9 dimensions of wellness within my company because I realized back in college that it was a holistic journey. I started when I was a kid, and then that continued well into adulthood. So it wasn't just the physical and the nutritional aspect. I mean, when you're in college, finances are a big thing, social, how you're living, that environmental component, and then of course occupational, because you're in college, you're trying to figure out what you want to do, and you might not know. And I didn't know right away that I wanted to go into nutrition, but I've been a foodie all my life. My parents instilled in my siblings and I respect for food, the love for food, for cooking, for going out to restaurants, from trying new recipes. I could go on and on that topic, but it's not just one component of wellness that it's important. It's a little bit of everything. So for me, I would say make sure that you do it, whatever it is. Make sure that you are researching, you're getting all the experience, you're taking the classes, you're whether or not you go to college, you are actually getting your education. That's the most important part. I think people say, oh, I don't have to go to college. No, you don't. You can learn a lot, but the most important thing is to learn. There are so many courses out there online, in school, and you can also just pick up a book. You can go to the many, there's so many courses out there. It's insane. Like, there's no reason you shouldn't learn everything. You should be able to consume every bit of knowledge about your particular field. and then experience it. Don't just read about it, do it, take action, experience it, and allow yourself to be fully immersed in what you do. You know, be as well-rounded as possible. Get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Experience, I think, is going to be a big help when it comes to anyone who's looking to do what I do. What's your opinion on racial injustice? What's your opinion on racial injustice and what's been going on lately with law enforcement being held accountable for their actions? This is a very deep topic. It's one very close to me and my community. When I think of those who have passed, been murdered because of gun violence from the police, you're talking about Mike Brown, Eric Garner, George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and the list continues to go on. I think we have a long way to go. But suddenly, it's become this whole new movement, right? It's a little bit different than before, but the same rhetoric, the same slogans have been passed. I think we're tired. We're really just tired with having to repeat ourselves, with having to educate the public over and over and over again, letting them know that, hey, this is systemic racism. We are being gunned down. There are policies in place that make it okay for the law to take our lives. And not to say that all law enforcement do that. They do not. But when we look at the deaths that have occurred over the past few months, the past few years, I mean, COVID is still here, but we also had death and destruction from police brutality on top of that. So yes, it's been a whirlwind, and it's great that Mr. Floyd's killer was brought to justice, but a lot of the times they're just platitudes saying, oh yeah, they'll be brought up on charges, oh yeah, they're gonna go on administrative leave. None of that means a lick of anything if there isn't accountability, with the law saying that these policemen and women have to be held accountable for their actions. They are pillars of the community. That doesn't mean they're immune to the laws that they have sworn to uphold. They are humans too, and those laws apply to them as well. So yes, Mr. Floyd's killer being brought up on charges, being held accountable, that's great. But I'm gonna hold out just to see what happens with the rest of those police officers that was involved, because we have a long way to go. But I think upholding the law, whether you are a citizen, whether you're a police officer, is so important, because we are all governed, or should be governed, by those same laws. What are some rules to success that I follow? Stay consistent. I think I said this earlier too. Consistency has always been key for me. It's been paramount to my success, because if you try something and then you don't stick with it, you can't see the results, right? It's the scientific method. You have a hypothesis, you have to test it out. If you don't test it out, you won't know if it worked. So by staying consistent, you can see how much work you put in, and then you can see the results, whatever they might be, pass or fail, but you won't know your results unless you are consistent with it. And stay focused, right? We make mistakes. That's the whole part of this thing called life. We're gonna make mistakes. We're, not flawless, but I stay focused. For me, being focused, being consistent is very important to success. If I can see it in the future, I can go after it and I can make change and kind of monitor my progress, right? Oh, this didn't work. Okay, I still have my eyes on the prize. Let me try something else. So it's more so making sure that I'm following my own path, I'm carving it out, but I'm also staying the course. And also, you want to find mentors and role models who are going to help you on that, right? They're teachers. These are people that you can emulate. Those who give great advice because they've been there. You want to be where they are, so you want to be able to say, okay, how can I learn from you? And having a teacher or role model is so important along your journey because someone's been there before. It doesn't matter if you're blazing a new trail like I do, but it matters that they are ahead of you in the game of life and that they've been successful at it. So you definitely want to make sure that you reap, once again, that knowledge, that you learn from them, and that will make sure that you are successful. But also have people around you that share that same passion, that same drive, that's going to help you move ahead as well. If I could go back and give my younger self some advice on life, love, and relationships, it would be to experience everything. Forge your own path, because you're going to have people in your life that are going to promote dating, celibacy, maybe even, starting later in life, following in love with your high school sweetheart. So there are going to be so many different paths when it comes to love and relationships. And I think it's so important for my younger self to have learned to experience life on my own terms before listening to any one person. And this goes for all young women out there, because I find that growing up as a teenager, as a young girl, you have so many pressures thrust upon you, right? Because the world thinks one way, your parents think another, your friends think another way. And I think the most important is to kind of listen to that little voice inside you that is helping to guide you, because as you listen to your instinct, you are growing and developing into this person who is self-assured, who values self-care, values self-love. I loved baths when I was younger. I absolutely did the bubble bath, that time to myself. I absolutely think that the more we cultivate an environment in which we're forging our own path, we're making our own way, we're finding who we are, we're finding out more about ourselves as we go through, is something that is so important and is so needed. So definitely I would have loved to have told my younger self to be more self-assured and to have followed her own path. But to all the young women out there, make sure that you are forging ahead to the beat of your own drum. In 10 years, I see myself with a family, husband, children, maybe a pet. I can sneak a cat in there. And I see myself also giving back to my community. That's one thing I miss. It was a lot of community service, but volunteering of my time is something I truly missed from high school and college. Those are the times that you're making those connections, you're networking, you're learning about yourself, the world, and as you get older, you work, right? And I work in the service of others through my concierge. So it makes me feel good that I'm still making an impact, but I know that in the next 10 years, I'll have more resources, more time to do that, to devote to my community. And also to show my children how to make generational wealth. And really, I want my business to be passed along to them, because they are the future. And if they can continue the work that I'm doing, that I deem worthy, I think that would be something truly wonderful. Yeah, so my legacy that I want to leave behind, how I want to be remembered, is to make an impact in my community, to be able to show young women and girls how to take care of themselves, how to take care of their families. Because let's face it, we've only got this life to live each and every day, right? I think the saying that I've heard is that we only die once, yes, but we get the opportunity to live anew each and every day. And in doing so, we can change the paradigm, right? So self-care is not just something that you do on Sunday. It's something that you should be able to do every single day, not only for yourself, but also for your family, your friends. And I find that helping people discover the best lifestyle for them It's not necessarily physical or nutritional, right? But it's also mental, it's intellectual, making sure you're constantly learning and growing, occupational, getting your hands dirty with whatever hobby or career choice you choose, and of course, socially, financially, environmentally. These are also very important because we get into the world of being an adult and then we just forget that there's so many other parts to living that make living worthwhile. It's not just working, right? But it's spending time with our friends, our family, spending time with ourselves, just learning more and more about the world around us. So I think if I can leave this legacy behind to my children, to the future, and just really help others live the way that they want to live internally, externally, and just truly have the best lifestyle that they can would be the legacy that I would love to leave behind. So you can follow me on Instagram. My handle is ENVIZION_wellness. So that's Envision Wellness. You can also email me at envisionwellness@gmail.com. What does be the model mean to me? So being my most authentic self, how I wish to show up in the world is what be the model means to me. And like be the model, I am innovative, I'm cutting edge, and I have the ability to recognize what's lit before the rest of the world recognizes what's lit. Because of my status in the world, people follow suit. I don't follow trends, I set them. And in every sense of the word, I am a true influencer. Like I said earlier, I am a trailblazer. So be the model for me is all about setting a standard and standing out from the crowd. This is Crystal of Envision Wellness. Thank you again for tuning in to Be the Model podcast.